Today, students, I'm going to explain the November 2023 exam paper. The company is called Pencafe, and the password for Pencafe is capital letter N4. So I've opened my company Pencafe, and remember, the first thing after you've opened the company is to go and put in your examination number and your computer number. So click on Setup, Company Parameters, type in your password, capital letter N4, then you click in the name block, press Control Shift T, type in your exam number, open a bracket, type in your personal computer number, for example PC01. It will depend on where you are sitting. Click OK. And then we check the top of our computer screen. We can see our ID number and the computer number. The next important step in the exam paper is to make sure on page 4, just above paragraph 1.1, they tell you are required to complete the setup of parameters as shown under additional parameter setup. Thereafter, process the rest of the transactions for March 2024. So I'm going to go to the additional parameter setup, which we find on page 7 at the bottom. They tell us paragraph 1.2, additional parameter setup. The details on the setup customer documents and supplier document screens are incomplete. These details must be completed using the information below. So I'm going to click on setup, and I'm going to do my suppliers first, or let's do the customers first. Click on customers, and then we click on documents. There's only two documents that's important for a customer. It's going to be the invoice and the credit note. So I'm going to click on invoice. There's 4 things that I must check. I must check that the original name is tax invoice. The entry type must be customer's journal, and I must check my message. If I look on my exam paper, they tell us add the following message to customer invoices. Thank you for buying from Pencafe. So I'm going to type in my new message. Thank you for buying from. Okay, Pencafe is not going to fit on that line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue on the next line, press enter, and then I'm going to type in Pencafe. So that's our message. Thank you for buying from Pencafe. Then I must also check my number for the document. The number for the document. The input of customer invoices must start with CUST01. CUST01. So I type in my new number, CUST01. Then I must click on credit note. There's 4 items that I have to check. The original name must be credit note. The entry type must be customer allowances. There's normally no messages for a credit note, and on the exam paper there's also no change for the number of the credit note. So I've done the setup of my customer documents, I've done the invoice, and I've done the credit note. I click on OK. Then I'm going to do the setup of the supplier documents, setup supplier documents. There's only two documents that's important for a supplier. It's the supplier invoice and the return debit. So I'm going to click on supplier invoice. I'll make sure that my original name says supplier invoice. My entry type must be supplier's journal, and I'm going to check for message. Okay, there's no message for the supplier invoice. Then I'm going to look at the number for the supplier invoice. There's also no change for the supplier invoice number. Then I'm going to click on the return debit. We must rename the original name for a return debit. Should be debit note. The entry type will be supplier allowances. There's no message for a debit note, and we must check the debit note number must change to DN001. The input of debit notes must start with DN001. So that's the setup of my supplier documents. I must check the supplier invoice and then also the return debit, original name, debit note, entry type, supplier allowances, no message, change the number to DN001. Click on OK. Then paragraph 1.2.2, change the account access of the general journal to any account. Go to setup entry types. So I'm going to click on setup entry types. And I must change the general journal, and I must change it to any account. So there where account access is the column heading, I must change it to any account. So it's the top option. Press enter, and then we click on OK. Then we can go to page 8. Paragraph 1.2.3 at the top of page 8. Create the following inventory service item. So I need to click on edit inventory item file. Edit inventory item file. We do not delete the information for an existing item. We must click on add. So I'm going to click on add, and I'm going to type in the code DEL, press enter, description, delivery fee. Then categories, they tell me none. Inventory group must be services. Discount type must be set on none. Unit will become per kilometer, and then make sure that you allow tax. Make sure that you've got it 0.1 VAT, 15% for sales and purchases. Then make sure tick show quantity and unit must have a tick. Untick sales commission, so remove the tick for sales commission. Make sure that you change the type of item to service item. Remember, a service item does not have a cost price. So I'm going to click on prices, and then I'm going to put in the selling price. They tell us selling price 13 Rand. So I type in 13 Rand in the exclusive column and then press enter. So my inclusive price is 14.95. Then very important, you must save it. If you think you made a mistake or a mess, click on reject and start over. I'm going to save. And then I'm going to close. Okay, then transactions for March 2024, very important, determine the period that we must use. So on page 8, paragraph 1.3 tells us we must use period 2. You can read the rest of the transactions under paragraph 1.3. I'm not going to read it now. I'm going to continue with the exam paper. We are going to start on page 9, where we are going to do the opening balances. So use the information in 1.1.5 to process the opening balances of the inventory items on 29 February 2024 in the relevant journal. Use invoice J01 as reference and balance as narration. Untick all settings of the journal, print and update the batch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on process, inventory journals, process inventory journals. We are on page 9, paragraph 1.4, the opening balances for inventory items. So we need to click on process inventory journals. Then we must do our date. Make sure that you correct your period. Our period must be 29/02/2024. So make sure 29/02/2024. So it must be period 1. So make sure that you correct your period. Then click on settings and make sure that everything is unticked. Untick all settings of the journal. So we've done that, and then I'm in the inventory code block. I'm just going to press enter. Don't click with your mouse, press enter. The list of items will come up. So now I must go to paragraph 1.1.5. We find paragraph 1.1.5 at the top of page 7. So I'm going to select the first item. The reference we said must be INVJ01. INVJ01. And we must go to the in block. Stock on hand is what we use for in. So stock on hand is 50. Out nothing, and then we go to unit cost. The unit cost we must check 23.35. It is there. I'm going to press enter so that my list comes up again. We choose the second one from our list. In is going to be 56. Press enter. Check the unit price 23.35. It is in there. Press enter. And we are going to continue entering the rest of the items. In is 8. 297.38, that's correct. Next one is Canon Black. Quantity is going to be 9. 274.85, that's correct. Next one is Croxley. Duplicate book, JD16, Ace JD16, yes. Quantity is going to be 25, 13.67. Next one is hardcover, JD161, 192 page. Quantity is going to be 34. 13.87. Next one is going to be JD22BO. JD22BO. 28.3, 28.87, sorry, I'm duplicating it, let me just correct it. Next one is going to be HP black ink. Quantity is going to be 13. Unit cost 182.91. Next one is going to be color ink, HP color ink. Quantity also 13. Press enter, 157.86. Next one is going to be Parker Jotterball, 21 of them in the in block. Check your price, $199. Next item is going to be Pilot G2 7 gel, 17 of them. Press enter, 16.15. And then the last one is going to be Rotor Trim. We are going to have 112 and check the price 241.25. And that's how you enter the inventory opening stock. They tell us print and update the batch. So what we are going to do now is we are going to say print, and you will just click on OK. Remember, your printer should say R105 printer, and then you click OK. I'm going to click OK, although I'm not connected to a printer. But for now, I'm not going to update, so that we can continue with this later on. So I'm just going to, so if you need to update, you will go and click on update batch. You don't have to back up before you update for class purposes, so you will just go and click on update. So you must update once you've got the printout in your hand. Please update. I'm not going to update so that I can come back to this exercise later on. Just going to click cancel, and then I'm going to click close. Also on page 9, we must use the information in 1.1.2 to process the opening balance of the general ledger accounts. Also on 29 February 2024, use OPBAL2 as per reference and balance as the description. Do not increment the reference. I'm just going to check my inventory journal. Okay, reference is in there. Okay, it seems fine. They tell us for 1.1.5 that we must use balance for narration. So I'm just going to put in the word balance there. Down arrow, balance, down arrow, balance, down arrow, balance, down arrow. So I made a slight mistake, but I'm showing you how you can correct it. So please read your instructions carefully and make sure that you follow the instructions. Okay, so they clearly said in paragraph 1.1.5, page 9, paragraph 1.4, they tell us use balance as narration. So that's why I've changed my narration to balance. I'm just going to close here. So remember, you will click on print batch, and then click OK. Remember, once you've updated, you cannot go and do any corrections. So luckily I did not go and update. That's why I was able to go and change the narration to balance. I'm going to close. On page 9 again, paragraph 1.4, we are now going to put in the opening balances of the general ledger. So I'm going to click on Process Journals, and I need to use my general journal. Very important, before you start, you must do your settings. The date 29 February 2024 is a date that falls in this year. 29/02/2024 is period 1 of this year. So in my settings, it is this year transaction. Repeat description must have a tick because we want to repeat the word balance the whole time. Increment reference must be no. Do not increment the reference. We must switch off tax processing, so remove the tick for tax processing. No contra account, please, no contra account, and then click close. Okay, let's continue. So we are on page 9. We are going to capture the general ledger account balances. So our period is correct. We must use period 1, which will give us the date 29/02/2024. We normally use G for general ledger. And then I'm going to go to paragraph 1.1.2, which we find on page 5. So go to page 5 and look at your list of general ledger accounts. The first account with a balance is capital. So I'm going to use the description option to search, and I'm going to type in CAP. So I'm going to spell capital, just the first 3 letters. The computer will find capital, and I press enter. The reference, they tell us we must use OPBAL2 as reference, and the description must be balance. So I'm going to type in balance, and capital has got a credit balance, therefore I must type it in the credit column. 796 605 07. Press enter until you get the list of ledger accounts again. The next account is motor vehicle at cost. So I'm going to type in MO2, and then I'm going to select motor vehicle at cost. Press enter. Motor vehicle at cost is a debit balance 355 789.20. Press enter until you get the list of accounts again. Next one is motor vehicle accumulated depreciation, MOT, and I'm going to select motor vehicle accumulated depreciation. Press enter, and accumulated depreciation is a credit balance 156 345.89. Press enter to complete the line until you get the list again. Next one is computer equipment at cost. So I'm going to type COM, and the first one highlighted is computer equipment at cost. It's a debit balance 32,780.55. Press enter until you get your list again. Computer equipment accumulated depreciation, select, press enter, credit balance 15678.45. Press enter until you get the list. Next one is office equipment cost, OFF, debit balance 35,890.23. Press enter until you get the list. Accumulated depreciation, press enter. Remember, it's credit balance 14,789.34. Press enter until you get the list again. Fixed deposit, FIX, debit balance 25,000. Press enter until you get the list again. Trading stock, debit balance 44,708.69. Press enter until you get the list again. Customers control, this one is strange. So customers control is account 8,000. Sorry, let's just type in CUST. You will see where customers control is highlighted, but then the computer tells us the account entered is the customer control account and cannot be used. If you get that message, you must use 9990, the balance control or opening balance account. Customer is a debtor, so it will have a debit balance. So in the debit column 8598.83, press enter to complete the line. I'm not going to do the bank now, I'm going to do the other two first, and then I will be able to determine my bank amount. So I'm going to type in PET, press enter, petty. And there's my petty cash. Just click OK, and remember petty cash will have a debit balance 1,500, and press enter until you get your list. The last one is suppliers control, SUP, suppliers control. Again, it tells us the supplier control account cannot be used. If you get that message, use 9990, the opening balance account. And remember, a supplier is a creditor, so it will have a credit amount in the credit column, 14,354.53. Press enter to complete the line, and then you will notice that you have a total here at the bottom of your screen, a credit total 79,357.407. Okay, just double check all my amounts. Here it seems like I've put in my credit amount wrong, 796,605.07. Okay, so double check all your amounts, make sure that your debits and credits is correct. So now we can see that our total here at the bottom is 493,505.78. So our journal must be in balance. So because there's a credit amount, we must go and put in exactly the same amount but as a debit. So So I'm going to click in my open line, press enter. Remember, it's for bank. That's where the question mark was. And we must put in a debit of 493,505.78. Press enter until the line is finished and you are on an open line. What you will notice is that you are in balance, so that's very good if you are in balance. If we go back to page 9, they tell us print and update the batch and print the trial balance for period 1. So I'm going to click on print first. Print with contrast. So remember, always print with contrast. And click OK. Yours will say R105 printer. So you must then click on OK. And then this time I'm going to update, because we must print a trial balance. So I'm going to click on update this journal batch, and I'm going to click on update. What you will notice once you've updated is that all your transactions has disappeared. So please make sure before you update, check that you have the printout in your hand before you update. Once you've updated, you cannot print a batch listing anymore, because there's no transactions left in your batch. I'm going to click on close, and then print and print the trial balance for period 1. So to print a trial balance, you must go to View, General Ledger, Financial Reports, Trial Balance. So remember your steps, write them down: View, General Ledger, Financial Reports, Trial Balance. Just say yes. View open batches. Will be our inventory journal that's open, so don't worry too much about the rest of the transactions. I'm just going to close. And then there's my trial balance. I'm going to check. I must print it for period 1. So make sure that you print it for period 1. So make sure 1 and 1. Do not print 0 items. Print 0 items, remove the tick. Include opening balances. Include opening balances must have a tick. Print balance sheet items first. Print balance sheet accounts first, so there must be a tick. Then we can click on OK. And there we see our trial balance 796,605.06. So all the accounts with credit balances will appear in the credit column. All the amounts with debit balances will appear in the debit column. And then you will click on print, and you will just click on OK. Remember, your printer should say R105 printer here. I'm just going to click on OK, and then we can click on close. Okay, so this is an important section of the exam paper where we have completed the additional parameter setup, and we have completed the opening balances for the inventory items and also the opening balances for the general ledger accounts. Thank you very much. Enjoy studying this lesson. We will continue with the credit invoices on page 9 in our next video.